Okay, guys, I'm gonna keep this as brief as I can. I need to drink, need to hydrate. My eyes are sore, which means I'm still not all the way hydrated. Mm. Get your vitamin water. Okay. Anyways, you guys, I see there's a lot there. I saw content about the age of disclosure and a lot of people who had like a rags to riches story, or someone who was just able to make something out of nothing. They're basically talking. I don't want to say talking down, but they tell people who like don't really do anything, or people who they feel are just complaining just to complain and not really doing anything to change their situation. They would say things like, well, if I was able to make it, right, I was able to pull myself up by my bootstraps and turn a little idea into like $1 million business or something like that. If they were able to do that, or they were able to land that top job or whatever the hell, if they were able to do that, right, then you should be able to as well. So that's the point I keep hearing, because, you know, everybody's online talking about, we're broke, there's no hope, what are we gonna do? Like, it's over. And some of these people just see it as like, okay, you guys are making excuses, you're being negative. Like, I'm not broke, I'm not struggling. So that's basically the whole topic of discussion, right? But what people don't understand is, some of these people, like, if you literally, like I said, you come from a rags to riches story. Like, you wasn't in a good position, you were homeless, you were on the street, your family wasn't in the best area, all those things, right? That is gonna motivate some of these people, right? It's not every single one, but a lot of people, it motivates them to want to excel, be someone, make more money, and seek stability, right? And to someone who maybe you didn't have to deal with those certain things, or maybe you just have a different outlook on life. Of course, you'll see it from a different lens about, okay, you're chasing this money, you're chasing this, but then it's like, you're gonna be like, you're on like a pinwheel. And some people just don't like the idea of having to work like a dog to get successful, or the grind culture and all that. And that's why some people will disagree, some agree, or people just, they have their own thought process of how you should go to you know, be successful. You know what I mean? Me personally, I just feel some people have to work harder than others. There are some things you have to do. And people say, no, you don't have to do anything. And yeah, I do feel that to a certain extent. But if you're like someone, you come from a certain area, you don't have like a specific support system, you don't have people you can call to like bail you out, help you out. Yes, some people, yeah, they're going to be motivated to just have a 9-to-5, and they're okay with having a 9-to-5 job and working like a slave, or working themselves into the ground, because that is when they feel the most useful. That is when they feel the most valuable. What is this thing I saw? Something about being like a high functioning woman. And, you know, some of us, like, you know, you get raised in certain environments where your value is tied to, yeah, you do need money or you will not be in a good area. You do need more money. If you don't have it, you're in a poverty stricken area. That honestly is like that because of the government, and it also has something to do with the people that are in the area themselves, that's not keeping upkeep on the area. And I guess some people just don't really care about each other as much as we would love to think. But it's like, that's a whole other topic. But it's like, there's a multitude of things. It makes us, it will like, it can make those people want to chase the fame, the fortune, and all that stuff, because they need to be somebody, they need to be useful, they need to, the other thing is just chasing the bag to help their family out. They're trying to bail out a family member. They just want to do something else with their life. You know what I mean? And yeah, this can also tie into the thing in why narcissism is a thing, and people like to shame people who, not even going to say shame, because narcissists they can be very effed up individuals, right? But it's still a mental illness, and people need to understand this is where it comes from. Living in a certain environment, or you're just in an environment where the person people didn't hold you accountable, and you could do no wrong. So it's a flip flop. But I'm going off topic. Sorry. I'm gonna focus on just the 9 to 5 thing and why there is a grind culture. Why that even exists in the first place is because some of these people did not have the nice like, it's programming to set you up to literally stay at it, go get a 9 to 5, go get a job. And so, don't get me wrong, some of these jobs are good, and yes, it's good to be rich and successful. I think it would be freeing for anybody, but people, like I said before, people chase it for the wrong reasons. But when you're set up and you're born into a situation where you're being evicted, you're on the street, and you're seeing other people in these nice houses, apartments, nice cars, wearing nice clothes, of course you're going to think, oh, if I get an actual good job, not just like an average job, but like a high scale, like top corporate job or something like that, oh yeah, I'll be able to get these things. I'll have stability. I won't have to deal with horrible living conditions, rats and roaches and shit. And then, yeah. And that's why some people are sad and depressed. Like, yes, money is a band-aid. You can still be sad and depressed with money, but that is what drives certain people. I know for me, it's like, I just know, it's like just being able to do whatever you want, honestly. The more money you have, the more you have free will. That's what I want, really. It's the freedom of it. It's not about the status and all that stuff. And I know people probably won't want to do, and I know people measure people off of what they do for a living or where they work. It's sad, but that is a thing, and that's why people are so proud of their jobs and where they come from. Or they're proud of, like, if their job is fulfilling, I understand. It could be like you're giving back, and maybe you could get paid at the same time. You're working in, like, the environment, working in your community. I feel like it's different, so we can't all just put it all into the same box. But yeah, it just makes you, I just know, yeah, I want the free will. I don't want to be on other people's time. So I know I need to make a lot of money doing something where I can be on my own time. You know what I mean? I don't want to be answering to people. I think that's my thing. And yes, I worked like a job where it was like, you know, there was a schedule or I had to be there at a set time. I just didn't know when I was getting off. But after a while, I started to hate it, and it was like, yeah. But like I said, it's different for everyone. But I still feel guilt, because it's like, you know how it's like, you just think about, oh damn, if I had this amount of money, I'll be able to help this person or this person or that person. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's that feeling of being, you don't want to feel like you're just nothing, I guess. And that just comes from things that were put into my head when I was younger. And I didn't even I didn't have to deal with, like, you know, being evicted or anything, or being on the street. Somehow, I was in that situation as an adult, which is so dumb that I was even in that situation. But literally, it's like, my childhood, yeah, no, there was no being evicted. Like, I will say my dad definitely spoiled me. Had both of my parents there, you know what I mean? So it's like different. And I remember even my mother said, because I remember when I was little, I wanted to get a job. I like the independence of having my own money. So even if, yeah, I gotta work a job, that's what my motivator is. Like, just having some independence, do whatever I want. And yeah, and then yes, helping people, obviously, because money can help a lot of things, especially right now. You know how many people you can help? You got billions of dollars. That could help a lot of people, and, you know, help people help themselves as well. And yeah, it would just have to be fulfilling. You can't, when it's just about making money, you're not going to want to be at the job any longer. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, I guess. But yeah, y'all, I just know my upbringing was kind of different. But even when I was younger, I still wanted a job because I didn't like having to ask my parents for stuff. And like, obviously, when it gets to a point where you really need help, you will ask for money. You will ask like a family member, you'll ask like an acquaintance, someone, ask them for help somehow. But then it's like, still, it's just like, you don't like asking. It's like, nah, I want the independence of just being able to say I was able to make this independently, at least. I don't know. That's just this culture.